Hello YouTube and welcome back to the Life of a Virtual Airline Pilot. I'm your host Captain Mac once again, and we are getting ready to head out of Denver today. That was our last location. You may remember we took a little side trip to head up to Vail, Eagle County Regional Airport by viewer request. And we got a couple more of those floating around somewhere, and we'll get to those eventually. Also by viewer request, there's been a lot of requests to do some joint flights, and some of you have even asked to get an opportunity to do a flight with me. Finally figured out a way to do that. If you haven't had an opportunity yet, take a look at the channel there. There is a joint flight on there. I think it's called Let's Fly Together, and it's a trip around South America with a friend of mine, Eric, and we're going to do a few more of those, and I talk a little bit more in there about doing some flights with you guys, and if you're interested, some of the parameters for that, if you will. So definitely trying to get to some of those viewer requests. We are going to get back over to LA now and get back on mission. There is something else that I want to do, but we're going to have to wait on that. I want to do a couple of flights in the King Air 200 with a good friend of mine named Tobias. He is a real-world King Air pilot, and when we get an opportunity, we're going to do something with that. And I mentioned it in my joint flight, but I'll mention it again here real quick. Tobias is a King Air 350 pilot in the real world for a private airline in Germany. So him and I are going to get together in the King Air Super 200. He's very familiar with that aircraft as well, and we're going to do some type of flight together, but I'm still kind of bouncing around some ideas of what I want to do with that. So if you have some ideas of some stuff you'd like to see or some things you'd like to learn when I have that opportunity to sit down with a real-world pilot like that who actually flies that aircraft, then please put something down in the comments. Let me know what it is you're looking for, and I'll make note of that and see if we can't get some of that stuff included into the video. All right, enough about that. Let's get on the program here. We need to go to all bids because we're off course right now. Remember, these flights are all part of that mission that we still have to complete, and we're going to get that done eventually, I promise. But we're over here in Denver right now, and you can see I've got a flight from Denver to Phoenix and Denver up to Page, both those flights for the purpose of this one just to get us down to Phoenix, and then this is a great little flight to do. It's for a Beech 1900, but you may remember from Season 1, we were able to substitute any Beech Light aircraft for that, and so we were flying that King Air 200 quite a bit. So that's the flight that I'd like to do with Tobias, but still looking for some input from you guys and trying to figure out what's the best way to go about that. So that being said, we went ahead and we did a search for another flight here, Denver back to LA, and the reason for that is to get back on mission, we need to get over to LA and then fly from there down to MMLP, which is down in Mexico. So let's take a real quick look at our flight here. Click on the pilot brief. There she is, American Airlines. It's American Eagle flight, which is operated by SkyWest Airlines. I do have a friend who also flies for them. He flies CRJ 200s, 700s, and 900s. So we're going to get an opportunity to spend some time with him eventually too. But let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. Flight 3672, Denver to LA. Departure time of 1300, arrival time of 1520. You do the math. That comes to what? That's right, 2 hours, 20 minutes, which will probably be pretty close to that time, hopefully. 748 miles, and that's about it. Weather coming from Active Sky 2012 once again, and I don't think there's much else to talk about. So what do you say we hop off of here, jump into the sim, get everything fired up. We do need to do our ACARS first, so we'll do that real quick, then we'll get in the sim and get rocking and rolling. All right, let's get our ACARS set up real quick here. As you can see, I've already gone ahead and put the flight in, and you may recall from previous videos, because it's not the next flight on our list, we have to go ahead and type in the flight number manually here and then click on Get Flight. That brings up our information here. We're currently located in Denver, and that is our departure airport, so we're good there, off to LAX, which is where we want to go. So everything's pretty much set there, 2 hours, 20 minutes. Let's go ahead and just grab a previous route. Doesn't really matter which one because we don't have to follow this. Just looking to see. Yep, it's not using. None of these use the same departure as us. There's a Connor 1 departure. I'm not sure. It doesn't matter. We'll just grab this one. That's just fine. It doesn't matter which route you grab. That is just for this flight map here. You don't have to follow that route. In case you haven't heard me say that in the past. Go ahead and set our flight up for, as far as altitude is concerned here, we're going to go up to 32,000 feet, flight level 320. We're good there, and you can see that highlights the start flight button. It is now green and we can press it, but our flight simulator is not connected yet. So we're going to have to do this after we get into the sim. So that being said, let's hop over in the sim and get started. Alright, so here we are at Denver now. Let's take a quick look here at where we're at. I gotta find it down here. There it is, ACARS. Move it over here. Yeah, we can't take a look at where we're at yet, can we? We gotta get this started. So we've got everything set up. We already did that, so let's start the flight. It is the proper aircraft model. It's just the way it's titled in case you don't remember that. Now we're good to go here. Alright, all that being said, we're good to go. Let's take a quick look at where we're at on the airport and where we're going. Alright, if memory serves correctly, it's Concourse B for American Eagle, the American Airlines commuter airline, if you will, which is actually usually operated by SkyWest Airlines, but nonetheless, we're going to go for Bravo 95 right down here, and we're going to be taking runway 34 right, so when we push back, we'll turn the nose to the left, we'll come out here onto Bravo Sierra, all the way down here to Foxtrot, and we'll take a quick look at the airport ground chart so we can see where we're going from Foxtrot. And once we get down here to Foxtrot, we'll be hanging a right. This is Bravo Sierra here, so we'll come all the way down here to Foxtrot and hang a quick right down to Foxtrot 1, and that'll get us to our hold short point for runway 34 right for our departure today. Alright, so now that we know where we're going and how we're going to get there pretty much, what do you say we hop on in the aircraft here and get this show on the road, if it ever wants to load. Oh, something I forgot while it's doing that. Let's pop up our air traffic manager here, maybe. There it is. Let's give it a second, see if it loads the flight plan on its own. You may recall I've put a link up there for this before. It doesn't look like it wants to. Let's try refreshing it. There we go. Denver to LAX. Last count was 45. Optimized. They deleted 5 and we're good to go. So we'll never have more than 40 aircraft in our airspace at once, which is good because we don't want more than that. It messes with our frame rates. So that's what makes this pretty awesome. I don't have to change the sliders on my sim when I go into high traffic airports such as LA. There I am thinking about 3 things while I'm talking about 2 others. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so checklist here. Battery master off. It is. That's this one right here. Beacon lights off. I disagree with that. Beacon lights should always remain on. They're right there. It's probably a little hard for you to see in here. Actually, I think I may even still have this thing paused. Oh, there we go. Unpause it. I'm an idiot. Okay, beacon lights are on. You can move the cameras around when it's paused, but you can't do anything else. So there are no chocks, but the parking brakes are set. So now we move right into our startup checklist. The battery master goes on at this point, and we need to go ahead and turn some lights on in here because we can't really see anything. Do these ones work? No, they don't. Alright, lights. We don't actually need all of these on right now. We'll turn those back off. Those can go off. Logos can stay on. B can stay on. I just hit the L key, which flipped all the lights on, so I didn't have to search around for the cabin lights in here. That made it easier. Nav lights go on, it says. So let's go ahead and flip those on. Seatbelt no smoking signs on. You may recall last time I was trying to flip these switches up here. It was kind of funny. Logo lights are already on. Wing lights, we don't need them at the moment. Power fuel door, we can't do anything with that. So now we can go ahead and start the APU, and we do that just by clicking on the button. Give it a short little spell here, and it'll get itself up and running. And once that's up and going, there's really, unfortunately, there's nothing we can see on here that tells us when the APU is up and running, so I usually just give it a few seconds. It's a default aircraft, so it happens pretty fast. Once that's going, though, we can flip on the APU generator, which we have. Gen 1 and 2 are both off, so we're good there. Hydraulic switches, we can't do anything with those, and the charts are on board and checked. So we're good on everything there. Passengers are already being loaded. I'm not using my GSX for loading passengers, even though I'd prefer to, because I can't get all the doors open. I know there's a way to do it now. I have figured it out, but I don't want to mess with it, so we're not going to do it. So we go right into the before start checklist, and it starts with some stuff with the FMC, but we don't have an FMC in this aircraft because it's default, so there's nothing we can do there. Check that the doors are closed. Hop outside here and just take a look. And doors are closed on this side. Check the other side over here. Doors are closed over here, and so we're good to go on that. Let's hop back in the aircraft. Yaw damper on at this point. That's this guy right here. Flight director switch on. That's this guy right here. Flight director panel set course. We're not actually setting the course yet, but we are going to set our altitude. Now remember, we need to be... Oh, I haven't briefed it yet. I'm sorry. You'll see when I brief the departure. We need to be at or below 10,000 feet initially on our departure. So we're going to put it at 10,000 feet here for our initial altitude. Set barometric pressure. We do that the easy way today because I don't want to mess with it. I got to go to the two-dimensional view. So I just hit the B button. B is in Bravo for barometric pressure. We don't need to tune anything on the radio, so we're good there. So we've set the initial altitude, and the initial heading will be set once we're on the runway because that's the way that I prefer to do it. So with all of that being said, that means we can go ahead and pull up our GSX for pushback here. And we need, where are we at? Prepare for pushback and departure. American Connection is the one we want. No, we don't need de-icing. We're good. That's going to take too long. Nose left, tail right.
Due to icing conditions, please stand by for engine start until push completed and brakes set.
Interesting. I've never heard that before. All right, cool. Well, I'm probably not going to do that. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Hello, Captain. We are ready for pushback.
Okay, getting this thing rolling here. And you may remember to start the engines in this aircraft really very simple if it is default. All we're going to do is, let's hop up to the overhead here, is we'll turn the continuous ignition on, and then we'll start with the, let's see, it starts with the left engine, so we'll click on the start left engine, and it does the fuel and everything automatically. So we just wait till it's spun up and stabilized, and then we'll do the right engine. The only difference being that once it's spun up and stabilized, we put Gen 1 on, and then we go ahead and fire up engine number 2 on the right side, and then that's it. We're good to go at that point. So let's go ahead and let them do their thing.
Departure check completed.
Yeah.
Live has been inserted. Release parking brakes. Commencing push.
Alright, we see that our A car says our passenger loading is completed, so we're good to go there.
Push completed and brakes set.
Since they want us to wait on the engine start, we'll go ahead and wait. You know what, this gives me just a moment to talk about something that came up recently. So a lot of folks have joined up with PVA after watching these videos, and I think that's fantastic. I love it, it's great, and I'm honored that you guys are doing that. However, we've had a few folks who've signed up and apparently don't like the way that PVA's system works. They don't like some of the rules and stuff like that, or maybe they just don't fully understand. So I just want to say two things on that real quick. First of all, if you sign up, we'd love to have you over at PVA. You know, we take all comers and shakers, and we look forward to it. Each and every new pilot that comes on board. That being said, if you come on board with PVA, please make sure you read the pilot's operating manual so that you understand all the rules for PVA, and also understand that this is a pretty strict and structured virtual airline. So if you're looking for something where you can just fly any airport anytime you want, any aircraft anytime you want, then PVA is probably not for you, and that's all right. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're looking for structure, if you're looking
set parking brakes.
If you're looking for specific rules, you know, to you know, things such as you have a maximum landing rate with Phoenix Virtual Airways, which is minus 1,000 feet per minute. Anything over that, and your pilot report will be rejected. So just some things to keep in mind. Please understand that if you join us over here at PVA, we'd love to have you, but you do have to comply with the rules here. And if those rules don't work for you, that's totally understandable. You know, go join another virtual airline, and that's just fine. You know, no hard feelings, nothing like that. You got to find the virtual airline that works for you, works for your style. You know, works in, you know, works with your, you know, your life schedule and stuff like that. Sometimes it's just not PVA, guys, and that's all right. So I just wanted to throw that out there real quick. Okay, let's go ahead and get these engines started now. And we're going to start with the left engine. We're supposed to hit continuous ignition first, so there we go. Continuous ignition is on, and she's starting to spin up, and the fuel's already on.
Left is clear. Right is clear.
However,
And while we're doing
radically
that,
in
let's
flight,
see.
whether from a bomb,
Yep, okay.
pilot error, or
Looking
any
good.
other unexpected
Engine,
Clear
there
to
she goes.
start engines.
compartments
Yeah, I
will
already
automatically
did,
open
dude.
in
I'm
the
not waiting on you.
middle of your seat.
He's taking too long.
Reach up, pull the
Okay,
mask to your
give
face.
this another second
This action
here.
will start the flow of oxygen.
Yeah, it's about stabilized, so
Place the
Gen 1
mask
comes
over
on
both
at this
your
point, and
mouth
now we can go ahead and start engine number
secure
2.
with an elastic band,
And
as your
same
flight
thing, we'll just let it
attendant
spool up here.
Tighten by pulling on the ends of the elastic bands. Even though oxygen is flowing, the plastic bag may not inflate. If you are traveling with children or are seated next to someone who needs assistance, place the mask on yourself first, then offer assistance. We know how much you love your children. But if you attempt to put the mask on them first, you will likely pass out due to lack of oxygen in the air at 40,000 feet. And they are unlikely
Okay,
to
we're
help
up and running. Sorry, I was distracted
just one
slightly there for
really
just a
long
second. We're up and running
sentence.
now. Gen 2 can come on at this
Anyway,
point.
After all, you
And,
do love them, but you will
let's
be
see where we at
unconscious. And
here.
your children will not help
Right
you. They
engine's
will
up
just
and
let you die.
running. Power fuel door, we can't do anything with that. Left and right AC pack on, we
Continue
can't do
using
anything
the
with
mask
that.
until advised by
So
a
we
unit
roll right
to
into,
remove it. Or
what?
unless the plane
I
is
did miss
crashed,
something.
at which point it
APU's got to
doesn't
come off
matter
at this point.
anyway.
So APU gen goes off, and then
Your
you just click this
individual
button to turn the
life vest is
APU off,
located in a pouch
and
beneath
that'll
your
complete
seat.
our
Should
startup
use to become
checklist.
necessary,
Once that's done, we're going to roll right into the
plastic
taxi
packets,
and
slip it over
before
your head
takeoff
and pull
checklist.
downward on the front panel. Bring the strap
Let
around
that just
your
finish
waist and
turning
insert it
itself
into
off
the
for a
buckle in
second,
front
and
of
then
you.
we'll take
Pull
care of
on
this
the
next
loose strap
checklist. Oh, the
until
lights
the
went
vest
out.
fits snugly,
Like that.
just like any other life vest you would put
Oh,
on.
you know what?
As you leave
I
the
know what.
aircraft, inflate the vest by pulling down
Goodness, it's
firmly
getting
on the
just
red
light
tabs.
enough out. That's
Do
alright, all these
yourself
lights
a
can stay
favor
on at this
and
point, but we don't need
wait
landing or taxi
until you're
lights on
actually
quite
outside
yet.
of
They'll
the
come on here in
aircraft.
just a minute.
The vest may
So
be
flaps
poorly
set to
inflated
20,
by
let's go ahead and
pulling
take
into
care
the
of that.
inflation tubes at shoulder level. Each vest has
That's
a resting light on
I
the
think that's
shoulder
part
for
8
night
there.
use, which is water activated. By
Okay, there's
pulling
20
the
there, so we're
light
good. It's
to-
kind of hard
or
to
the-
see some
by
of this when
removing
the
pull to
interior
light
lights go
tab
out like that.
located on the
Nothing to do with the
battery. Though we
FMC.
are flying nowhere
Taxi
near
lights can
water
come on at
today,
this
we
point.
still have to
There they
explain
are.
this to you for some
All the other
reason.
lights are on,
In
except
preparation
for the landing
takeoff,
lights. So
please
we're good to
ensure
go
that
on
your
that. We're
seat
getting ready to
backs
taxi out
tray
here
tables are in their
and get
full
this show on the
upright
road.
and stored position. Even though this has absolutely nothing to do with anything, we are going to continue to demand
Alright, so let's get this bird moving then. Up here
Ensure that your seatbelts are
to
securely
Bravo
fastened, since we
Sierra.
have now
We'll
shown
hang a
you
right
how.
on Bravo
And
Sierra.
all of your carry-on items are securely stowed.
And, you know what I just
Federal
realized?
aviation regulations
I'm
require
an idiot
customers to
sometimes.
comply with the lighted customer
So there's always 10
communication
million things
signs,
going
other
on,
posted
and there's
signs,
like,
and crew member
20
instructions.
million things going
Please
on when you're
observe
trying to
and
record a
fasten
video.
seatbelts and other
I have the
lighted
right of way there
signs
usually.
until they have been
Um,
turned.
excuse me,
Thank
coughing
you
in
for
your face
attention.
again.
We will begin
And
more
so,
shortly.
my apologies, but I forgot to change the fuel setting. And I am not going to shut down and restart the engines and everything. This is Bravo Sierra here. Should be anyway. Yeah, this is Bravo Sierra. I'm not going to shut down the engines to change the fuel. So we're flying with a full load of fuel, and we shouldn't be. And yeah, so my bad there. My apologies. You know, again, this is default aircraft, so the way to do it is go into your FSX settings. Here, I'll pop it up here. So I'm not going to actually change it, but you would pull up this menu here, and you would go to aircraft, fuel and payload, and then you would change the fuel setting. And I'm not going to do that because we need to get going. We got a 2-hour and 20-minute flight, and we've already been at this for a little while here. So, you know, it's going to cut into our profit margin, but we're not overweight, so I'm not concerned about it. It's, you know, it just is what it is. So, such is life. Sometimes we all make mistakes, but either way, off we go here, and we get this. Let's see, we're taking Bravo Sierra down here all the way to the end of Foxtrot. What's our ground speed right now? We can probably go just a little bit faster here. Looks like our ground speed is about 15 knots. We can do about 20-25 knots. Probably normally you couldn't on Bravo Sierra here because of its relationship to the gates on the left and right. But we're going to pick up our speed just a little bit here anyway, because otherwise we're going to be taxiing all day. So I'm going to go ahead and continue the taxi here, and we will see you when we get to our hold short position at the runway, so that you don't have to sit here and listen to me bump my gums. or sit here and stare off into silent space, because it's just no fun. And we'll be taking the Connor 3 departure today. 34 right, our runway is right here, so just after departure we'll be hanging a left turn here, and we're going out to Yaboob. I guess that's what we call it, Yaboob. At or below 10,000 feet at Yaboob. And then My Ale, sounds like a beer. It sounds like a brand name for a beer there, but My Ale after Yaboob, and then out to Tune, and then Tavern. At Tavern we have to be at or above 12,000. Burnco at or above 14,000. Tebow at or above 16,000, and that takes us to Connor, and then we will be on our way from there. So that's pretty much the sum of it. You can see just like many of these SID charts, there's a lot going on here. If you haven't had a chance yet, take a look at my tutorial on how to input these waypoints for a SID either into an aircraft with an FMC or FMS, whatever you want to call it, and also how you can put them into the default FSX GPS. Since we're going to be flying a default aircraft today, default CRJ 700, we need to have these waypoints put into our GPS there through our flight planning tool. So I'll be taking care of that off screen so that you don't have to watch it again, but that tutorial shows you how to do it. So that pretty much sums it up here. Probably main things we need to concern ourselves with. Minimum safe altitude for the grid during takeoff is 9,200 feet, and then once we cross over My Ale, it goes up to 13,800, and then of course by the time we get out here past Burnco into Tebow, that's kind of funny. I wonder how old that is. But once we get to Tebow, it's 16,500 in this area. So all altitudes that we need to make sure we're above. These are all at or above altitudes. The only one of real concern is Yaboob, at or below 10,000 feet. So we're good to go. Alright, then here we are holding short of runway 34 right. And let's go ahead and take care of our takeoff checklist real quick. Technically it's kind of part of the taxi checklist, that's why landing lights and all that stuff was on there. So we just need to make sure landing lights are on. Everything else is pretty much as is. We can, let's see, yeah, there we go. Bring that up just a little bit. Probably don't need that much. And back to the primary there. That's pretty much the gist of it. Everything else is after takeoff, you know, or during takeoff, setting the throttles to takeoff power, landing gear retraction, all of that good stuff, monitoring the speed and so on. Let's take a quick look here, just show you our GPS. You can see as per our brief, Yaboob is our first waypoint there. And if we take a look at the flight plan itself, there it is, Yaboob, My Ale. And I didn't notice this, I don't know why I didn't notice this before, because I was a Marine. I spent 14 years in the Marine Corps, but Tun Tavern, that's what that is. And Tun Tavern is actually the bar where the Marine Corps was, the United States Marine Corps was born. I know, born in a bar. Big shocker that the Marine Corps was born in a bar. But there it is. So Tun Tavern. I didn't notice it before, but I think that I think that's what that's for, Tun Tavern. But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Anyway, we're good to go on this. Turn that back off, and I'm actually going to just undock this and move it to my other screen over here so I have it visible in case I want to look at it some more. And I've got another aircraft taxiing up behind me, so we should probably get rolling here. So everything's good to go, so let's go ahead and pull out onto the runway. Let's just make sure that our approach path is clear, which it is. And I left those little, what do you call them, the stupid, I can't even think what they're called, the titles or whatever over the aircraft there. You know what, let's just turn those off real quick. I don't like them for videos. So if we go in here to options, settings, and display, under traffic, it's aircraft labels. Uncheck that. Good to go there. Give it just a second to reload itself. All the graphics and stuff. It's interesting because, what is it, Shift Z twice. I mean, we're getting 30 frames per second, right? 29, yeah, so I don't know why it's taking so long to load, but there you have it. So we're clear on our approach path there. We're good to go. Landing lights are on. Everything's ready to rock and roll. Let's get this bird in the air because we're already dragging on just a little too long here. So pull that onto the runway. We're going to look to rotate around 145 knots. And the only reason, maybe even just a little faster, we'll just see how the bird feels. There is a way to calculate your V speeds, V1, V rotate, V2. I haven't really messed with it much. The flight management system in, say, a PMDG aircraft or Aerosoft's Airbus, it will calculate it for you, and that's kind of just, I got used to that, so I'm lazy. If you guys would like to see me calculate V-speeds, let me know, and I will calculate the proper V-speeds for you. But you got to ask really nicely. So here we go, rolling takeoff. Just put those throttles all forward right now. We're going to do a max thrust takeoff here. And we're rolling. Airspeed is alive. And there's 80 knots there. Get just a little crosswind off the right there. Nose is trying to point its way over there. There's 120. We'd probably call that just about V1 right there. A little more speed just because of the extra weight from the fuel, but we're plenty fast now. Let's go ahead and rotate. There she is, looking pretty good. Positive rate of climb. Bring that gear up. Trim that nose just a little bit. We don't want it to climb too hard, too fast. Remember we said we were going to get to about 180 and then maybe on up to 210 during this departure here. Gear up. So that's kind of what we're looking at. So we'll just keep on climbing out here, and yeah, there's nothing else to do. Let's take care of our after takeoff checklist really quick. Let's see, well, it's part of the climb and cruise checklist. There isn't really a good after takeoff checklist for this aircraft. But you may remember that at 59:40 we were supposed to start a left turn, and we didn't do that, so we messed up there. Let's go ahead and start bringing those flaps up just a little bit. And we can probably roll those throttles back a little bit as well. Bring them back just a little, but we don't want to start losing altitude, so looking pretty good there. Continue this left turn, and that's pretty much a full bank left turn there. In fact, we're borderline steep turn, so we'll just take a little out of that there. And bring up the last setting of flaps. Remember, we don't want to go over 240 knots, so even though normally it wouldn't have a auto throttle in it, let's go ahead and just crank this up to 240 knots. And we'll set our imaginary auto throttle here. So speed set, go ahead and engage the autopilot. Now if I click nav, this ain't gonna work right. We gotta jump over here because you gotta change this to GPS. There we go. Now we'll click the nav, altitude hold, and yeah, we should be good to go there. So let's climb at, let's see, at or below 10,000. That's where we gotta be until we cross over Yabu, which is where we're headed right now. So I'll hop back over here. And that's about the sum of it there. I'll keep you guys probably with me here for just a minute until we cross Yaboob, which is a few miles out still. We got, what do we got, 6.5 miles. As soon as we cross that, we'll start to climb up from there. During the climb and cruise, landing lights will go off as soon as we go above 10,000. Standard barometric pressure above flight level 180. Speed will remain the same. Well, it won't remain the same. As soon as we cross 10,000 here, we can speed on up. So we'll put that up to about 320 knots and monitor our fuel and our instruments, and that's pretty much it. That's all we have to do. So just waiting on Yaboob here, which is an interesting name for a waypoint, and I'm getting funny looks from my wife off to the side over here. So, and yeah, she is well aware that you guys want a rendition of her flight safety briefing all by itself. I've told her all about it, and she is going to do that for you guys. She wants to redo it, make it a little bit better before we put it out, so you guys can look forward to that. And yeah, if it's not coming quick enough, go ahead and blow up the comments section with requests. The more she gets, the more likely she is to take it on. So just something to keep in mind there. And that's it, folks. We're crossing Yaboob right now, so let's go ahead and crank that altitude all the way up. Remember, everything else is at or above altitudes. So if we just take this all the way on up to flight level 320, right, oh, fell off of there.
Passing 10,000 feet, Captain.
320, we're past 10,000 feet. Landing lights and taxi lights can come off at this point. Flaps are all the way up. The fake auto throttle is busy doing its thing. We are on course. Everything is rocking and rolling. So with that, the only thing left to do is take care of some of that obligatory elevator music. let's take care of this cruise checklist real quick. There's really not much to it. It's part of the climb checklist as well. So landing lights are off once we got above 10,000. The altimeter or barometric pressure is set to standard, which is 29 or 9 or 2. And other than that, really, we're monitoring speed and we're monitoring our fuel until top of descent. I mean, that's really it. So not much to the cruise checklist for this aircraft. So let's enjoy a little music. Coming up on our top of descent here shortly, about 20 miles to go. We just passed Hector VOR, which is basically our transition onto the arrival. So what I want to do is go ahead and take care of this descent checklist, which is very, very short. Get started on the descent, and then we can go. We can roll into the approach briefing. So as far as descent checklist, there's actually only 2 items on here. The annunciator panel, we're supposed to verify that there's no cautions, and we can't do that in this aircraft. But I can tell you there's no master warning, no master caution, stall warnings, nothing like that, and no other warnings of any sort because nothing else really comes up on this lovely default aircraft. So, and then altitude and speed limits, we're supposed to check and monitor those, and when we go over the arrival briefing, I think I might have said approach briefing. When we go over the arrival briefing here momentarily, we'll see what our altitude and speed restrictions are, and we shouldn't have any problems meeting with any of those. So that's basically the sum of it. So what do you say we go ahead and roll right on in? We're still actually a few miles from top descent, but we're going to go ahead and start our descent anyway. Now we can start it a little early. What we're going to do is, as I roll this down, I'm going to decrease the rate of descent for a minute, and then let's just bring this all the way down to 2,200 feet. And when we get to the approach briefing, we'll see why I chose that altitude. I believe it's 2,200 feet. I'll have to look at it again in a minute. But that's what we're putting for now, 2,200 feet, and we're descending at currently 13 or 1,200 feet per minute. And yeah, like I said, it's just a shade early, but that's all right. No big deal. Yeah, we're good to go. So on the descent we are. Let's go ahead and let's take care of that arrival briefing real quick. We're going to be coming in via the Bassett 3 arrival today, and our transition is at the Hector VOR or ATC. And if we look right here, we can see that the Hector VOR is somewhere way up here. So once we hit the Hector VOR, From there, it is on down past Resort here. And let's see here. We've got a minimum safe altitude of 10,500 feet in this area right here. Down to Donna. You can see this grid is a minimum safe altitude of 10,600 feet for the entire grid. So we'll be above that anyway. From Donna on down here to Civet, we must be at or above 14,000. And then down to Bindi, at or above 12,000. This area right here. Arnis is between 10,000 and 13,000 feet. That's what this means right here. And then from there to Bassett, and then on to Downey. Call it Downey. We'll go with that. We're at Bassett, we're at or below 13,000 feet, but at Downey we must be at or above 10,000 feet. And then from Downey we will be transitioning to our approach. Now the wind today is all zeros at 0. Hopefully that will hold true as we come down there. We're not using ATC. Who knows what the aircraft on the ground are doing? We've experienced that a few times, but hopefully all will go well, and we'll be good to go coming in there. So sooner or later I'm going to have to get an ATC program. Still keeping my eyes peeled, but until then, this is what we're going to go with. Good times. So we'll do the approach briefing here in a few minutes, and we'll get this bird on the ground. Approach briefing then. We'll pick up our initial approach fix out here at River. That's this guy right here. And let's see, that tells us we're radial 068 from the LAX VOR at 49 nautical miles. We'll take that up here to Jaksev, and then we'll bang a quick left to 251 degrees down to Minza. We need to be at 10,000 feet between Minza and Skull. Once we cross Skull, we can drop down to 9,000 by the time we reach Decor. And then Decor to Bria, we'll call that Bria. 8,000 feet there. Bria to Palak, 7,000 feet. And then we already did our initial approach fix. Our final approach point is way down here at Jetsa, but we also got Mercy, we'll call it Mercy out here, down to 4,000 feet by the time we hit Mercy, and then we'll continue at 251 degrees to our final approach point here, which is at 2,200 feet at Jetsa, and then from there it's on in. So not a whole lot else to say about that, I suppose. And we got our profile view over here. There's that little thing popping up as usual. So again, 4,000 feet by the time we reach Mercy, and then we can start a descent at 13.7 nautical miles from the LAX VOR, which is located on the opposite end of the runway here. And hopefully we'll be ready to intercept glide slope by then anyway, but it's still a little ways out, so it's hard to say. Either way, down to 2,200 feet at Jetsa, and by then we should be on both localizer and glide slope to fly it in. Now, minimum decision altitude is 59 feet AGL/MSL, because they're pretty much the same on this one. And let's take a look here. This is our lighting. I don't fully understand all the lighting. I know some of you probably do. I still don't fully understand it. So I know that these are high intensity lights, and different lights, like the yellow lights start I think 2/3 of the way down the runway, and then they should turn to red lights to let you know you're running out of runway. But it's 46 meters wide, grooved runway, 2,720 meters long. We've got our PAPI lights on the left side there. It's got a negative 0.1% gradient, and the touchdown zone doesn't have any gradient to it. And I think that's it. What is it? Is this 119 feet is the touchdown zone? That doesn't make sense to me. But my brain is not functioning properly as usual when I do this. Yeah, it looks like it's 119 feet is the touchdown zone, so that can't be 59 feet. So why does it say 59? It should be this guy right here, 230 feet, I believe, is our minimum descent altitude. So if somebody knows why it says 59 down here, let me know. All right, enough of that. Let's talk about our go-around procedures. If we have to execute a missed approach or go around because of whatever, maybe Southwest Airlines cutting us off again, we'll climb at heading 251 degrees, and we'll make a right turn to intercept the 260 radial from LAX. Take that out to rafts, climb to 2,000 feet. What does that look like? Well, if we look over here, we climb straight ahead until we intercept this 260 degree radial. Take that out here to rafts, and it looks like it's a left-hand holding pattern at rafts. So we'll want to make sure that We have rafts as a waypoint in there. I'll see if I can get that set up since we're using a default aircraft. But if we execute a go around, we'll probably do like I did last time I had to do a go around, where we'll sort of get it right to start with, and then we'll kind of do our own thing. I know that's not the best way to do it. I'm trying to get as much realism in here as I can, but I am a little bit limited with the aircraft I have, so don't beat me up too bad. But that's pretty much it for our approach here. ATIS on 113.80, tower on 113.90. Actually, we're on the north side, so we should be on Yep, no, that's correct. That's for the north side. South side would be 120.905, and then ground on 121.650. And I think that's basically the gist of it. We've talked long enough about this approach. All right, we're coming up to Jetsa here pretty soon. Just about to our final approach point, 14 miles out. Let's go ahead and take care of this approach checklist real quick. Nav ILS frequency needs to be set, which it is right down here, 108.50. I think I forgot to mention that during the approach briefing. I've also gone ahead and put in the LAX VOR frequency here at 1113.60 as our backup, just in case we need to do a go-around. We've already set the barometric pressure, which is 299.1. Speed brakes are not going to be used. We got lots of runway. Landing lights are on because we're below 10,000 feet. We're getting ready to bring the first flap setting in here pretty soon. Landing gear will go down at that point once we reach our final approach point. And that's pretty much the sum of the approach checklist right there. We'll need to set our go-around altitude and heading as soon as we overshot a little here. Let me come back this way just a little bit. You can see I've already changed to the heading mode and the nav radio. I wasn't paying attention there. We need to get our speed down a little more now. What I was doing is trying to line up oh, my brain doesn't want to work. I was trying to intercept the localizer, and then I got busy with my checklist, and I ended up overshooting it. So we need to shoot back over here to the left, pick up that localizer, because our runway is going to be over here. You can see it coming back in right now. Not that big of a deal. And back over here to 251 is going to be our heading. So let's see where we're at there. That's 261. Yeah, we're going to overshoot that too. You know what? That thing's way off. I'm going to go ahead and put it in approach mode here, and let's see what happens. Okay, there it is. Yeah, I'm seeing this part of the. We're coming in right here on 24 right. My apologies, but there we go. That's our approach checklist. We can go ahead and bring in that first flap setting now. There's flaps 1 coming in. Let's go ahead and arm the speed brakes, which is oh man, brain doesn't want to work, does it? Alt tab? Nope. My apologies. Shift tab. Alt tab changes to a different window. And let's go ahead and bring in the next flap setting there. That puts us in flaps 8, and we've already pressed the approach switch, so everything's looking pretty good. Bring our rate of descent down just a little bit more so we can intercept that glide slope. And I think that's about it, right? Wow, that was kind of weird how I just did that. We'll set the go-around altitude as soon as we take the autopilot off, which will be here in a little bit. Let's go ahead and bring our speed all the way down. Our landing speed is going to be 125 knots. We'll bring this down to 130, which is our landing reference speed plus 5. Looking pretty good there. Let that speed keep coming down. It's just inching down nice and slow there, but we're doing all right. Another setting of flaps will help that on its way just fine. Landing gear can come down at this point. That's what that little alarm is for. And yeah, that's it. Let's go ahead and fly this bad boy in. I maybe popped on here just a little early for that approach checklist. Sometimes that'll happen. The wind has shifted a bit. It's 250 at 6 knots now, so that makes our runway still good and appropriate. Here's our 2,500 foot call. And I know that some of the aircraft, well, they're landing on the same runway as us, so that's good news. So hopefully we won't have anybody fly over the top of us or any craziness like that. So, but we'll let her keep on coming down. You can see we're at about 160 knots now. A little bit of a crosswind there, not too bad. We'll bring in the next flap setting here shortly. And yeah, everything should be good for this landing. Landing lights are on. I think I went through all that already. So we do have a landing checklist, which apparently only has the reverse thrusters on it until 80 knots. Turn them off at, is it 80? Nope, 60 knots. It's all the way at the top of the page there. And then our after landing checklist, of course, is confirm the speed brake lever is down, turn the APU on, and all that stuff. We'll do that here shortly. Let's get in the rest of our flaps here. Now we're looking good. Let's see if that fake auto throttle kicks in here. We're going to need it. Alright. I'm not using track IR today. I'm not a big fan of using it in these smaller airplanes. How do we end up underneath the glide slope there? Not a big fan of using track IR in these with these smaller flight decks. It just makes it I don't know. I look around really fast, so on this small flight deck, it's a little crazy when you're using track IR. You know, I move my head around and it just flips back and forth so fast, it's ridiculous. We might be just a little slow for. Let's go ahead and bring that up by 5 knots. I think we're a little slow considering our weight. We have extra weight because, as you can see, I've got a lot of fuel on board here because I did not adjust the fuel before the flight, you may remember. So, yeah, we'll bring that speed up a little higher. Not a problem there, though. Other than that, everything's looking good. Just waiting for that next call out here. There's the 1,000 foot call out. So, let's go ahead and let's disconnect this autopilot here. There it is. And that means that guy can go off. Let's see, yaw damper probably should come off. Normally it does for landing, right? It didn't say it in the checklist. I'm going to leave it on. And then the speed's got to come off here. So let's adjust our speed here. There we go. Okay, we're hand flying it now. So a little high on the throttles there. There we go. Bring it back. Looking good. We're just a skosh high here. That's alright though. Looking pretty good. I'm always high on my approaches. Everybody knows that by now. Scared of the ground when I fly. Bring those throttles back just a little bit more. So we're coming in a little steeper than we would like, but we'll be alright here. Slowing down a little more. Looking pretty good. Just a little left of center.
200.
Alright, I'm happy with that. Let's go ahead and bring this on in now.
100. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
Okay. It's floating on me. I'm not pulling back on down, I'm pulling back on the stick. She floated a little. Not too bad though. That wasn't too bad at all. Okay. Fly it all the way to the ground, throw those reverse thrusters on. Down until we get to 60 knots. And we're going to have a bit of a taxi in today. We're going to try and hit the Zulu off ramp here, high speed exit. If we miss that, we'll go for Alpha Alpha, cross over 24 left, and then bang a left here on Echo. We got to get all the way over here to Terminal 6 for our parking space today. Once we get over here, we'll hop on to Charlie, coming all the way down here to Terminal 6. We're going to try for gate 69er Bravo right here. We'll see how that works out. But any one of these gates on the end should be just fine for us. And we'll get this aircraft parked and call it a day. Alright then, the after landing checklist confirmed that the speed brake lever is down. And it is. So we're good there. APU needs to come on. Click her on right there. And give it a minute to spin up, and then we can turn the APU generator on. Should be good by now. So APU gen is this one. Good there. Strobe lights can go off. Or yeah, strobe. There we go. Landing lights are already off. Flaps are up. Just to confirm that. Let's make sure we stay on the taxiway here, huh? And taxi lights on, which they are, so we're good to go. So, all of that being said, I'm going to go ahead and taxi this bird on in, because it's going to be a little while on the taxi here. We are just a few minutes late, but it's not too bad. So I'll taxi this bird in for you, and then I will see you for the shutdown checklist. Alright, here we are in our parking space. We got the jetway pulling up. They're probably waiting on us to go ahead and open the door, so let's go ahead and take care of the shutdown checklist. Taxi lights need to go off first. There they are. Parking brake has already been set. APU generator is already on. Gen 1 and 2 can go off at this point. There's 1, there's 2. Engine fuel levers both go off. That's these two right here, 1 and 2. Seatbelt signs can come off at this point. There they are. Let's go ahead and open that main exit there. Shift E is opening it up for us. Beacon lights stay on because there's still power on the aircraft. Not really sure why they're so obsessed with beacon lights coming off. The rest of them can go off though. Air conditioning pack switches we can't do anything with. Exterior light switches are off or as needed. Flight director switch goes off. And park and brake will be released when we're ready. So at this point we got our engines shut down. We can turn those both off. We can turn the continuous ignition off. APU is running. We could turn that down or we could leave that going. I'm going to go ahead and leave that running. So what that means is we are done with this flight. Let's pull up our ACARS here. There it is. Flight is done. 2 hours, 18 minutes, and 20 seconds. Hey, we're actually on time. I thought we were going to be late. Not too shabby. Let's go ahead and end the flight here. There it is. Landing rate was pretty good too, minus 77. I didn't float it bad. I didn't actually pull back on it. It sort of caught the ground effect or something on its own, but hey, whatever, it worked out real well. So let's file that pilot report. Done and done. Close that out. We don't need it anymore. There it goes. And that is... Oops, go on, get up there. There we go. I always like this external view a little bit. LA is one of the airports that they did up pretty good as a default airport. This is default LA, so yeah, I haven't done anything with this. They did an alright job. Tower looks really good. I don't know what you call this thing, but it's pretty cool. So there it is, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to hop on over to the website as we always do to close things out, but I do appreciate you flying with me today. It was a good time as always. If you haven't had an opportunity yet, please subscribe to the channel. We're up to 288 subscribers last time I checked, and our goal right now is 500. We surpassed 250. We're going for 500 now, and I'm asking for your feedback on something we should do, something extra exciting or whatever that we should do when we reach 500 subscribers. And the more ideas I get up front, the more opportunity I have to try and plan something out. So if you guys are interested in doing something special when we reach 500 subscribers, please leave something down in the comments below. Give us a thumbs up. Tell your friends about us, folks, because we're all having a good time here. Let me know what you think. That's what the comments section is for. And in case you didn't notice, I'm up to doing some side flights and stuff if you ask for them. So feel free to leave something down in the comments, request for certain flights or something like that, and if possible, I'll be more than happy to accommodate you. It's been a great time. I'm Captain Mac, and I will see you all later. Alright, ladies and germs, here we are back on the website. I know I said I'll see you later, but yeah, obviously we got to close out here first. Shows our current location at LAX. That's where we want to be, because from here we're going to get back on mission down to MMLP. Not sure off the top of my head what airport that is, but I know it's down in Mexico, so that's going to be our next stop. We're going to start pressing forward on this mission so we can get it wrapped up. Let's take a quick look here at our PIREP. Believe it's still pending approval. We'll find out for sure here. Sometimes that happens. We got 66 hours to go until we reach that rank of captain, and that's going to be the really fun one. Oh, we're already approved. Good. That's going to be exciting. We're going to fly that PMDG 737. I'm going to do that Alaska mission. That is just awesome, and I'm really excited about that. So, going to be a good time there. But here's the basic information. 2 hours, 20 minutes was the scheduled time. We were 2 hours and 18 minutes. That's what we want to be. Right on time. Not too early, not too late. We're accepted, obviously. Not a very good profit percentage, but we took too much fuel. My mistake. We just have to live with it. Other than that, arrival information, usually I just look at my landing vertical speed, which was minus 77. Remember, I said at the beginning of the video now, there's a maximum of minus 1,000. So if you're new to PVA and you have a really hard landing, that's reason for a rejection of a pilot report. So just keep that in mind. Other than that, everything's good to go. So that pretty much sums everything up for us. Jump back over here real quick. There we are, 64 hours to go. Next flight's going to be a decent time. Let's just take a quick preview here. Let's see. Starts at 18:15, ends at 20:35. So that's 2 hours and 20 minutes, 727 miles. It's almost the exact same. In fact, it is almost the exact same distance as the one we just did here. So good times. That'll knock a couple more hours off of our time needed to make the rank of captain. And remember, when we get done with this mission, we get a cool little ribbon that we can put in our signature on the forums if we want, but more importantly, we get 10 bonus hours. So by the time we're done with this mission, we should be really close to getting promoted, and then those 10 hours just might put us over. All right, folks, As always, keep the blue side up unless doing aerobatics or when crossing the Pacific, at which time you're on your own. Have a great day.